Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Sneaky Narcotic back at it again with another RAVNICA Allegiance spoiler video. Today I'm using magicspoiler.com to show you guys these cards. It is one of the websites that I use for my spoilers during spoiler seasons, and I hope you guys will enjoy. Please like, subscribe, do all the usual YouTube stuff before we go any further. And yeah, so let's get started. So, in the last video, I left off with the incubation incongruity. So let's keep on continuing up with this card. It's hard to see, but this is going to be a new planeswalker. I'm not sure what language it's in. I don't know this language pretty well, but it is going to be one of the Planeswalker decks, as you can see right there. And it is Domri. It is 4 generic, 1 red, 1 green for Domri. I wish they'd say what the rest of that text says. But anyways, +2 creatures you control get +1/+1 in haste. It comes down again 4 generic, 1 red, 1 green for 4 loyalty, and then you come down. You can +2 creatures you control get +1/+1 in haste. So that's both of the abilities of Riot right here. The creature enters the battlefield with your choice of +1/+1 counter or haste. So it's definitely sticking to the gruul so far. Domri deals 3 damage to any target. There we go, dealing some burning damage because it's red, and then put 3 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. They get trampled until the end of turn. -8. So comes out on turn 6. Probably not with green. Probably earlier than that. Honestly, I like this card. I like everything but the ultimate. The ultimate looks weak. Looks really weak. But I like it that it can deal 3 damage to any target. That's including another planeswalker. Creatures you control get +1/+1 in haste, and it's a +2 ability instead of a +1. I do like that. I think for a deck box, this card is going to be really good. I hate that they got this glare on it. I wish we could see it better. And I wish the here, let's go to one other website and see real quick. RAVNICA Allegiance. Alrighty. This is one of the other websites I use, Mythic Spoilers, and yeah, don't look at any of these guys. We haven't got some yet. Let's see here. Alright, I guess they don't have the, I guess they do not have it. Huh, that's weird. But anyways, yes, so Domri. Domri looks cool. And let's go to the next one. We'll go Google for later, right in this one. So the next one is going to be also not in the right language. Checking your browser for access. Okay, so Domri's sorcery. It is. We do not have the cost on it yet because of how this is. But it says deal 3 damage to each creature. It probably is going to be a low cost deafening clarion, but it's following trends from other planeswalker decks. It's probably going to say something along the lines of, as long as you have a Domri planeswalker out, it deals 3 damage to each creature. That's just what I would think. I really wish they wouldn't have printed this. I understand that English is not always the language everybody speaks, but I really wish they would print most of this in English so we can read it. The other one is going to be the other Planeswalker deck. It's one of my favorite people in the world. Open link in new tab. Haven't seen him since Kaladesh, I want to say. Probably Aether Revolt, if I had to imagine. And that is Dovin Bond. So 4 generic, 1 blue, 1 white for Dovin. Dovin Bond. And so it's +1 ability. You gain 2 life and draw a card. -1 ability. Tap target creature. It doesn't untap until its next upkeep. -9. Tap all permanents under target opponent's control. That player skips next turn. So it skips next untap. I'm sorry. I like this card as well. It comes down for 5 loyalty. You +1, you gain life and draw a card. That's very good. That's going to make them target Dovin, but also get your life up. And then being able to tap target creature, it does untap till next upkeep. That's really good too for just a -1 ability. I mean, something to think about is that Dovin Bond is in the colors of Oath of Teferi. And I'll show you what that is. And this is still standard legal, nothing too crazy here that we have to play it in. But basically, Oath of Teferi says, man, I thought if I put it in another tab, I wouldn't have to control plus this. When Oath of Teferi enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent you control, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. And then you may activate the loyalty ability of planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than only once. So being able to, let's say, put Oath of Teferi down and having seen this Dovin, I would go as far as tap target creature, tap one of the creatures that you are absolutely hating on the other side of the field, and then gain 2 life and draw a card. Boom. That's nothing. And then you're back to the same counters, same loyalty counters you started at. So that's all I have to say on that one. The next card is Dovin's Creature. It's 4 generic, it looks like. Although it's calling it white. In the picture, there's no mana cost, so I don't know why it's calling it white here. If you control Dovin, get +2/+2 in Vigilance. And of course, just for fun, I guess Shiggles, they decided to cut off what its power and toughness is. If I had to guess, it's either a 2/2 or 3/3. That's the only thing I could think of. And then it would come down. Oh, and it gets +2/+2 in Vigilance if you have Dovin. So it would come down and it would be either a 4/4 for Vigilance if you have a Dovin, or it'd be a 5/5 for Vigilance for 4 mana, 4 generic mana. And it's probably a construct. If I had to imagine, it looks like a construct. But yeah, that should be most of the cards that are in this weird language. Let me know in the comment section below if you know what language that is, so I can just stop calling it a weird language. So here's the next one. Something very interesting. Absorb. 1 white, 2 blue. Counter target spell, you gain 3 life. The flavor text on it says, in your misguided attempt to subvert the law, you have eloquently explained why the law must exist. And it is an instant. So it's really cool to see this because okay, sorry, the work phone went off. I had to double check it. It's really interesting to see this spell because it's the exact opposite, almost exact opposite of Ionize, which got printed in Guilds of Ravnica. Let me show you that. Darn it. Let's just control plus this, so you guys can see it. So this is 1 generic, 1 blue, 1 red to counter target spell, ionize, dose 2 damage to that spell's controller. So it's very interesting to see this spell, and then in the next set see absorb. I do think it's kind of weird that they would do double blue and a white, forcing us really to play more blue over white in Azorious. Surely, and as you can see in Ionize, in the Izzet colors, it's a balance between blue and red. And this, although you don't gain 2 life, you gain 3 life. So is it really worth it for an extra blue just to gain an extra 1 life? I don't really know. But anyways, coming up is the guildgates. I'm not going to really touch too much on the guildgates. And the lockets per se. I am going to stop real quick and let you guys take a good look at it. Because I do enjoy artwork, and I'm sure you guys do too. I guess I'll read real quick through the flavor text. So, Gruul Guild Gate. Beyond this gate, there are no citizens, only predators and prey. Domri Red. I guess that must be what this, he must be Domri Red or something like that, I guess. I don't know. Orzhov Locket. It looks expensive, doesn't it? You have no idea. Milana Orzhov Predate. Prelate. Simic Guildgate. When the prime speaker goes too far, I will be here in the safety of the deeps to correct her. Zagana. So Rakdos Locket, so Gruul Locket and Rakdos Locket are my favorite lockets. They look sick. They look absolutely sick. Gruul Locket being this skull little necklace that pops open the skull to show you the locket piece. Oh, it looks sick. Anyways, Rakdos Locket. The trinket will gain you admittance to some painfully exclusive gatherings. Exiva Blood Witch. Gruul Locket. In life, it was a cunning survivor, fearless and quick. May its power pass to you as you wear its skull. Gna Gruul Shaman. Simic Guildgate. Mystery is beauty within the unknown. We plumb. Man, I'm just one off, I think. May we plumb relevant. Plum Revelation. Venifar. Okay. Plum Revelation. I didn't see that wrong, guys. I did not see that wrong. Okay, and so let's go to the next page of spoilers here. Page 1. A whole page, guys. A whole actual page. And of course, it's not a whole page, I should say. It's still a lot of lands and guild gates to go through. And again, I'm only reading the flavor text. Please take a minute to look at the art while I read the flavor text. Azorious Guildgate. If the populace fears our authority, then I'd say we have an opportunity. An appropriately sensible populace. Dovin Bond. Awesome. Rakdos Guildgate. My servants take pains for your pleasure and take pleasure in your pains. Rakdos. Alright. Orzhov Guildgate. So much wealth, so much splendor, so much temptation to believe the gilded lie. Kaya. Orzhov Guildgate. If you think the cathedral is impressive, you should see what's down below. Tessa? Gruul Guildgate. Old turf, powerful turf, much good blood spilled here. Rurik Thar. Rakdos Guildgate. Slip in the back if you don't want to be recognized. Don't worry, we'll make sure you're never found. Judith. Azorious Locket. Mandatory lockets enable the tracking of all Senate personnel for improved security and efficiency. Dovin Bond. Oh, that's pretty cool. If you want to know what really Azorious Guildgate. If you want to know what's really going on in any building, you don't walk in the front door, you stake out the back. Lavinia. That's pretty cool too. Godless shrine. Sin is depth, and absolution is paid in tithes of gold and blood. Breeding pool, which is the shockland. One beginning, many paths. Vanifar. Blood crypt, which is also a shockland. Life is a show and death its final performance. Hallowed fountain, also shockland. The ever watchful center of a growing web of eyes. By the way, love this hallowed fountain is my favorite art for hallowed fountain. Just saying. And then last shockland, stomping ground. As stomping ground enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 life if you don't. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I was on robot mode there for a second. When we begin, the end rays will finish. Then we will dance in RAVNICA's rumble. Nikia of the old ways. I guess I missed Godless Shrine. So Godless Shrine, yeah, it's down here, and that's also a shockland. So let's go on with some actual spoilers. Here's a crazy one for you. Really cool one. Hydroid krasis. So X generic. 1 green, 1 blue. It's a creature jellyfish hydra beast. And it's mythic. When you cast this spell, you gain half X life and draw half X cards, round down each time. Flying trample hydroid krasis enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So let's give it for instance, just to be sure. You have to, because you're rounding down, right? You'd have to pay at least 2x for this. Otherwise, it's not a card. So for 2 generic, 1 green, 1 blue, you can gain 1 life, draw 1 card, and this comes down as a 1/1 flying trample. It really gets sick, and I'm hoping that there's some insane ramp that you can pull off to get a big Hydroid Kraxis. The only thing I'm worried about is like a counter or a kill spell. So like I kind of wish that it had just a little bit more text. I know that's asking a lot. It has a lot of text already, but even then it says when you cast a spell, you gain the life and draw the cards. So even if they counter it, you still gain life and draw cards. It's only the +1/+1 counters that matter. So yeah, as far as a sorcery, because I'd rather look at this as a sorcery than the actual body, it's really good. And it's so interesting. A jellyfish Hydra beast. My friend's excited because he's making a Hydra deck for his commander and using Progenesis, which is not a Hydra. But anyways, he wants to put this in his deck. So going on to the next one, Deputy of Detention. So 1 generic, 1 white, 1 blue for a creature, a Vedalken wizard, which Dovinbana is a Vedalken. When Deputy of Detention enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls and all other non-land permanents that player controls with the same name as that permanent, and Deputy of Detention leaves the battlefield. So I'd like to bring up 2 points of Deputy of Detention. It is a board wipe for tokens. Because if you're so exile non-land permanents an opponent controls and all other non-land permanents that player controls with the same name as that permanent until Deputy of Detention leaves the battlefield. So if I'm right, and I feel like I'm right, because tokens are, permanents. Darn it. Come on, computer. You can work with me today. I swear you can. I swear. Let's just backspace here then. So, 1/1 soldier token. So 1/1 soldier token has the name soldier, right? I mean, look at the card. That's exactly what it has. It just doesn't have a mana cost. So if you name soldier, then you can board wipe all the soldiers from your... And that's basically what you're getting with Selesnya right now. It's just soldier tokens. It's not a type, because even then, it is a type, but it's not the type only in the card, because even then, if you look at this particular token, it says creature soldier. Even if you look at this particular token, it says token creature soldier. So it's not just a type, it's the actual name of the card as well. So it's a board wipe for tokens, but on top of that, it is also a really weird reprint of Ixalan's Binding, basically. And so Ixalan's Binding is a little more wordy. It's similar. It's not exactly the same, but 3 generic, 1 white. When Ixalan's Binding enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and permanent controls until Ixalan Binding leaves the battlefield. Your opponent can't cast spells with the same name as that non-land permanent. So this, on the other hand, would exile all cards on the field. So they would work really good together, I would think, because then you're bouncing it back, you're exiling it, and then he can't cast them if he has, more in his hand. So it's very interesting to see that. I almost would give that a mythic. It's really just, and then it gets a 1/3 body, plus it's a wizard, so it could go in a Jeskai Wizards deck, which, yes, I am thinking about now. It looks really good to me. So let's go to the next one. This one, sadly, is also in that really weird language, so we'll have to wait for it to load. It is Simic RNA. I don't think that's what it was. Are we sure about that? Okay, hold on, guys. I'm almost certain it's not called that. Yeah, let's go back to RAVNICA Allegiance of RAVNICA. Spoilers, Mythic spoilers, and take another look at that, because I don't believe that's true. Yeah, okay, so it's Speaker's Pet. My bad. Speaker's Pet is a 1 green, 1 blue for a creature mutant. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost up to 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana abilities cost to activate to less than 1 mana. The next time a creature you control activates adapt this turn. It uses adapt as if it has no +1/+1 counters. Okay, so let's read this 2 different ways. Let's read it in standard, and let's read it in commander, which is my other playfield, and I guess modern to a lesser degree. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost up to 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana it's actually supposed to be an ability cost to activate to less than 1 mana. So there are a lot of cards that use mana abilities. I'll think of one right now. Mage Adept. MTG. Maybe, okay, I didn't do the right one. Let me think of another one then. Here's a really old one for you that I'm thinking about for my own personal use. Level up cards with the level up ability. So for instance, this Caravan, open image, a new tab. This Caravan Escort, control +++++. It has a mana ability of a level up. It cannot be less than 1. That's the only issue here. It cannot be less than 1. We'll read it again. Cost to less than 1 mana. So you would basically just discount this one by 1. And this is just an example. But so that would be a level up cost of literally 1 generic to continue to go up. And that would be crazy just to level up, yet alone other activated abilities. I'm blanking on any that are not from standard right now. Although I mean we can honestly say monstrosity. Let me open up the second page right there. This is meant to go. Let's back out of that. This is meant to go in a simic deck. Well, simic right now, it was losing me until they really printed this card. This card is the first card that I really care about, because then it makes Adapt worth having. Whoops, I'm on the wrong page. This one, Adapt worth having. And so Adapt is basically monstrosity, but Adapt is, if this creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter on it per adapt. So, for instance, this homunculus, or aeromunculus, which is a homunculus mutant, has an adapt of 2 generic, 1 green, 1 blue. Adapt 1. And so that would be just putting 1 +1/+1 counter on it. It would make cards like this where you could you could pay 1 green and 1 blue to adapt. But on top of that, and I don't think I mentioned this before, but it's a tapped ability. It says tap simic RNA here, but Speaker's Pet over here. Tap Speaker's Pet, and the next time a creature you control activates Adapt this turn, it uses Adapt as if it had no +1/+1 counters. So if you would tap this, let's just double check the ruling on Adapt here. You can adapt it at instant speed. So if you were to be able to tap your Speaker's Pet, you can go ahead and just pay that already. Go ahead and pay green blue to adapt once. But if it has already been adapted, you can tap your Speaker's Pet and do it again for a green and a blue. And what even is better is that cards like over here was Zaganya, which had an incredible adapt, but also it has an insane adapt cost, and that was my primary concern with adapt. If you get 2 Speaker's Pets, because they're not legendary, so and playing a 4 copies in a 60-card deck, that makes it, let's look at the math again so I don't put my foot in my mouth. That makes it a 6% chance of always drawing one. So, if you look at a card like Zaganya, you get 2 Speaker Pets out there, you're playing green and a blue to adapt 4, putting 4 +1/+1 counters on a 4/4 body that you already put down for 4 mana. On top of that, it already has trample. On top of that, it has when enters the battlefield if you control another creature. It's already drawing you a card if you have a +1/+1 card counter on a creature you control. But on top of that, you can and this is exactly what I wanted for Simic. You can make Zaganya, for instance, go off insanely with just having 2 Speaker's Pets, because the turn after you put out that second Speaker's Pet, allowing it to be able to tap. Or if you put out the Speaker Pets first, because it's only 2 mana, 1 green, 1 blue, to put out a Speaker's Pet, and then you go over to Zaganya and you're on turn 4, and you can, on turn 5, untap all your mana, untap all your creatures. Adapt Zaganya. Go ahead, and that puts her up to an 8/8. Tap a Speaker's Pet, that puts her up again to a 12/12. Plus the green-blue because of the discount. And then you tap another Speaker's Pet, and that brings it up to a 16 Zagana. I don't think turn 5 per se, but turn 6 for sure. And so that's exactly what I want Simic to do, is just go insane with these +1/+1 counters, but they couldn't do it unless you got that discount. And so I'm kind of hoping they print another card like Speaker's Pet to fully round out Simic to make it worth playing. I'm sorry I spent so much time on that card, but that card has given me renewed faith in in Simic, honestly. I only have, well, hell, they added 2 more to, since the last time I checked today, or actually 3 more since the last time I checked today. But let's go to Sphinx of Foresight. 2 generic, 1 blue, 1 blue, or excuse me, 2 generic, 2 blue. Creature, Sphinx, it's rare, which I find interesting for what it actually does. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, scry 3 at the beginning of your first upkeep. It has flying at the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1 every turn, I guess. Huh, that's pretty cool. And it's a 4/4 flyer. So this reminds me a lot of the ley lines. And I don't know if you guys remember, I only know this because of Commander, and I see him from time to time in the Commander decks out there. But ley line was a card, the ley lines. There was one for each color, MTG. And basically they said if you had it in your opening hand to go ahead and put it into play. So like for instance, let's read Ley Line of Anticipation. If Ley Line of Anticipation is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield. And then it would give you may cast non-creature cards as though they had flash. So it's interesting that you go ahead and get to scry 3 at the beginning of your first upkeep. The mana cost on it, depending on your land value, land amount, makes it to where you could be playing 4 copies of this. And again, that's 6%. 7, and your open hand is 7 cards, so it's 6% of the time you're scrying 3 at the beginning of your game. And that's amazing, because that means you got to look at the top 10 cards and make your first 3 draws the way you want them, and if you didn't like them, you got to put them on the bottom of the deck. So that's crazy to me that Sphinx of Foresight is like that, and I guess it is worth the rare value now that I think about it. So here's another Dovin bond with English this time. 1 Dovin Grand Arbiter. 1 generic, 1 white, 1 blue. Let me not trip over words. It's a legendary planeswalker, and it's a Dovin. It comes out for 3. For 3 mana, it comes out with 3 loyalty counters. Until +1 is until end of turn. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on Dovin Grand Arbiter. So that hopes you get some health into that Dovin. That's pretty cool. Your -1 ability is create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. You gain 1 life. That goes along the bounds of what he, of him from his last set being more like an artificer, even though he was still a planeswalker, being Dovin Bond. I forget what his actual name is, but it was, Kaladesh, which was all about artifacts. Either Kaladesh or Aether Revolt, which both were about artifacts and artificers. And then -7 ability, look at the top 10 cards of your library, put 3 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So that's pretty cool too. If I had to pay mana to do that, it would be stupid. But, you're basically tutoring out of the top 10 cards 3 things you like. It could be a land that you're missing. It could be anything. And then, so in return, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player. So if you're playing a token build and you're getting multiple creatures in there, you could honestly... I'm trying to think of an exact play. If you're playing this in Jeskai tokens, you could be playing cards like Heroic Reinforcements. Which creates 2/1/1 white soldier tokens until end of turn. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste. So you could already by turn 2 have 2 creatures out, and then turn 4 you get 2 more creatures. That would give Dovin Grand Arbiter up to 7 on the first turn it comes out, and that way you can ultimate the next turn. Granted, that's just a fast track plan. Just throwing it out there. These next 3 cards, like I said, I haven't even had a chance to look at. God, they look pretty. already, just the artwork. But let's read them, yeah? So, Kaya, orzhov, usurper. 1 generic, 1 white, 1 black, for a legendary planeswalker, Kaya. So her +1 ability is exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. You gain 2 life if at least 1 creature card was exiled this way. That's pretty cool. That shuts out some Golgari, which is something. Excuse me. Let me rephrase it just a tiny bit. It definitely shuts out Golgari Undergrowth, but it shuts out Golgari Reanimator, which is even better, in my opinion. So that they can't find finality me or Golgari Findbroker or what's that other one? Recollect, I believe, is the other card that's been killing me in Golgari, just with them continuously getting their creatures back. Alright, so -1, I don't know if I said this already, but if not, she comes out for 3 mana, just like the other Dovin. So -1, exile target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 1 or less. That's interesting. I don't know what that's for, though. Like, I can't think of a 1-cost mana. I guess that's more for, like, commander, maybe a Soul Ring. Just, I hate your Soul Ring. Here you go. -1 that. I can't really see anything out of standard that I'm really worried about for 1 mana at the moment. That's a permanent. So, then we go to her -5 ability. Kaya, orzhov, usurper, deals damage to target player equal to the number of cards that player owns in exile, and you gain that much life. That's interesting. That's pretty cool. That is insanely cool because, yeah, again, going back to Ixalan's binding, Ixalan binding. Cards like this, which are very prevalent in just mono white, exile target non-land permanent. So it exiles cards. That's insane. Seal away does the exact same thing. Exile enters the battlefield. Exile target tapped creature. Hell, going back to today's spoilers, Deputy of Detention does that if you want to look for an Esper control. Deputy of Detention exiles target non-land permanent and others. Like, that's crazy. That would be a pretty cool way to just try to win the game, is get a lot of things exiled and then -5. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Let's get on to the next card. Judith, the Scourge Diva. Ooh, the Scourge Diva, eh? 1 generic, 1 black, 1 red. It is a legendary creature, human shaman, and it is a rare. Other creatures you control get +1/+0, so half of an anthem. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith, the Scourge Diva, deals 1 damage to any target. At the end of the show, she stands alone on a stage brilliant with blood. Ooh, she is sick, guys. Okay, first thoughts, commander, but second thoughts, let's go to a card I'm thinking about. Let's go to all on Google real quick. Dominaria spoilers. I'm sorry, I do not know this card off the top of my head, but I do want to mention this because this would be a very cool idea, and it's in the right colors. Go away, McAfee. Go away, McAfee. You know what? It's fine. Whatever. Okay, so let's pull up the card. Dominaria spoilers. Sorry, guys. I wanted to get this video out as fast as I could, but I also wanted to come to the table with a little better understanding of some things. well, where are all the red cards? There we go. This particular card, it's the brother of this card because it's about enchantments. Valdek, yes. This is particularly the card I am thinking about. Valdek, Keeper of the Flame. So, at the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valdek, Keeper of the Flame, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Cards that have this effect where they wait a second. Okay, never mind. You know what, guys? Shut up. Because this says exile, and it's a die trigger. And just for you guys who haven't had to go through a judge call in this, dying and exiling are two separate things. But still, Judith the Scourge Diva is crazy. I would even think of, I don't know the colors for it. Of course, I got rid of Google. Come back, Google. But it would be red, green, black for a poison tip archer. Let's go to images and to show you guys what I'm talking about. So poison tip archer has reach, death touch, and whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So that's something similar. I would think for red, green, black, that would be pretty cool. When they print cards that are dual colors like this, I know it's cool enough by itself, but it makes me want to play tricolors. I don't know what it is. So mass manipulation is my next card. Pay XX and 4 blue. Gain control of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. Holy hell. Wizards of the Coast. It's a sorcery, it's a rare, and the flavor text says, those who cross the Dimir find enemies everywhere they turn. My jeez, dude. Like, that's a hefty mana cost. What am I thinking of? Let's look at a similar card. The first one comes to mind is in Bolus's Clutchers. My bad. I misspelled it. Come on. Okay. Let's go to this one over here. Oh, Lake Claim's very similar. It's from the last set, Kaladesh. So that's 7 mana. You control enchanted permanent. Let's fix my mistake. Where is it? Okay, there we go. 6 mana in Bolus's Clutches. You control enchanted permanent. Enchanted permanent is legendary. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's on par with in Bolus's Clutches. But if you're playing and like, okay, so I would put this in my Simic deck because Simic's known for getting a lot of lands out. If you're getting just just getting run the hell over, because I mean that's what you're gonna want to use it on, is getting run the hell over. But you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to pay 8 for 2, 9, 10, 10 for 3. And that's very cool that they just give you more of an option. Like, I don't know. I feel like this card could potentially be insane. Granted, please God, don't play it against a blue deck because Lord knows you're going to get countered. You're going to get countered bad. Here's interesting. They put the prices from, I guess, the website on here, or maybe it's from MTG spoilers. But anyways, guys, I think I've talked long enough. I don't even know how long this video is. And I've gone through all these spoilers. I will be doing more spoilers when they come back into rotation. Hopefully this is the beginning of spoilers week, because I would love to just the website I use, untap.in, for Commander, don't tell anyone, but you can play these cards on untap.in and just go ahead and play the next standard once all of the cards have been uploaded, because it is a user-made, user-friendly website. So just to let you guys know, I might be getting some Guilds of Ravnica. God, I'm so set into that set. Ravnica Allegiance play in before Ravnica Allegiance drops. So stay tuned. Keep a check-in. Put that bell notification on. Please like, subscribe. Do all the usual YouTube stuff. This is Sneaky Narcotic. This is Sneaky Narcotic signing off.